Hello there, my name's Megan and I am the Pony Club Centre coach here at Widbrook Equestrian Centre. This mini-series is going to focus on fitness, the fitness badge. Again, it's an achievement badge, there isn't a mini badge to go alongside it, so don't worry if you're generally working towards mini badges, just pick up what you can. The series again will be 4 weeks long, and we'll have a look at some questions as well, and then when we come back after lockdown we will be able to have a look at testing you on the badge. So I hope you enjoy it and follow us along for these 4 weeks. Welcome to week 2 of the fitness badge. So last week was an overview and looking at the difference between fat and fit with the horse and their body condition scoring. This week we're going to have a look at a basic fitness programme, so looking at a horse that's been out of work for approximately 3 to 4 months and how you'd bring that horse back into work over either an 8 or 12 week programme. Before we start getting the horse fit, we want to make sure that we've had a look at some of the pre-fitness programme checks of our horse. So first of all, we want to check that our flu vaccinations and tetanus are up to date, that the horse's teeth have been checked and rasped as necessary, with any hard edges removed. Our worming programme is up to date, with our horse being appropriately wormed, depending on the time of year. The horse has either had shoes put on or has been seen by the farrier and trimmed if can work barefoot. That the tack, including the saddle, has been checked for fit, bearing in mind it may change as the horse gets fitter. That the back has been checked and the physio may have checked the horse to make sure that everything is in place before getting started. And then if required, your horse may be clipped as well if this is something that your horse needs. It's really important then to make sure that we've checked all of these things, as well as also, as you can see there at the bottom, stable management and diet. So we need to decide whether or not we're going to stable our horse or if we're going to work them and get them fit from the field. So this may depend on what time of year is, whether or not it's summer or winter, or it might be dependent on what works best for your horse and what you're getting them fit for. It's perfectly acceptable to get a horse completely fit from grass, but some people prefer to start to stable them as they get fitter. So that's something to bear in mind. And also looking at feeding, as we did in our previous badge, how can we make sure that the diet is appropriate considering where they are in their fitness program. So it will start off perhaps on a fibre-based diet, and then as the horse works through the program, it will move up potentially to more energy-giving feeds depending on the horse. So all of these things need to be bear in mind before we get started with the exercise program. So now we look at the actual fitness program. So as you can see, the pyramid that we discussed in week 1 can be seen here. So at the bottom, at the base of the pyramid, you see that's the widest part. We've got the long, slow distance work, sometimes called LSD. So that involves walking the horse and building it up from short periods of time to longer periods of time. Hence the name, the slow and long distance work. Then the second stage will be to move on to the strength work, where we can start to look at schooling the horse. And then finally we move into fast work, where we then start to move the horse on over periods of time where we start to clear the wind. So start doing some cantering work in an open area, working up the hills and that type of thing. Okay, so that's our pyramid. Now, depending on what you're getting a horse fit for, and how long the horse has had off work before you start, the base of the pyramid will be either, you'll spend either longer period of time in there or shorter, depending on how fit the horse was before, whether or not the horse has been fit before, and what the eventual goal of the horse is. So, for example, you're going to spend longer in the LSD phase if you're on a hunter that has been summered out and is then being brought back in ready for the hunting season. So hunters could actually spend up to 4 to 6 weeks simply in walk, just walk, nothing else.
So that's how long they could spend. Now, nowadays, we don't tend to spend that long in the walk. So some people will spend 1 week, some will spend 2 weeks, some will spend 4 weeks. It's a good guide to spend at least 2 weeks building up the walk work before introducing the trot, just to make sure that you're hardening up any tendons or ligaments and giving the horse a chance to get used to carrying a rider and to doing some exercise before moving on into any other phases. This is where you start building up the strength in the legs and those types of things, and gentle exercise in the heart and lungs, and also help with any weight loss and fat loss that may need to happen with that horse, as well as accustoming them to wearing the tack. So that's just long and slow distance work, which the Pony Club describes as the first phase, which is walking only. The strength work the Pony Club describes as the muscling up phase, which is when you combine the walking with slow trotting. You can then also start schooling on the flat and some slow cantering in this phase towards the end of this stage, including some jumping. So that work will take you for another 2 to 4 weeks, so that by that point you either have been working the horse for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, so that by the time you get into fast work, you're then looking that the horse has been in work for about 8 weeks by that point. Okay, so, or 6 to 8 weeks. So then in the third stage is when you then start adding in the faster work, so cantering out in the distance and building that up, increasing that distance gradually. Okay. So here we can see the pyramid broken down into weeks now. So this is an example of a 6-week fitness program, starting with 20 to 30 minutes hacking in walk, slowly building up to trot work, and then building it up until you get to the 6 weeks. Now this particular program, as you can see, even in week 1 it slowly builds up to trot. Okay, so you've got walk and trot in week 2. That's quite quick building up into the trot. Just to clarify that, this would be for a horse that is probably been out in the field. So if you have a horse that you're bringing in from the field, quite often they will have already been walking and moving, so they are generally speaking able to get fitter quicker because they've already been moving, so they've already been using their legs, their ligaments, their tendons, those types of things. And whereas if you have a horse that's been on box rest, you would need to take it much slower than this. So just to bear that in mind. However, no horse is the same, no two horses are the same, they're all individuals. So what will work for one horse may not necessarily work for another. However, generally speaking, it's a good idea to ideally spend at least the first week in walk, if not the first 2. And some people go even further and do the first 4 weeks. And if your horse is coming back from an injury, it might be even longer. So just to bear that in mind. But this is an example. So you'd start off with the 20 to 30 minutes hacking, building to 30 to 40 minutes, and then the horse in this particular program never goes beyond 60 minutes hacking. Now the traditional method of getting a horse fit, as the Pony Club puts it, so let's just compare. So this is this 6 weeks compared to what the Pony Club has to say. So the first stage, according to the Pony Club, would be you carry out daily walking work for at least 3 weeks. Okay, so they think it should be 3 weeks. As we said, it's better to have it last longer. Start with about 30 minutes and build up to 1 or 1.5 hours. So this is looking at your hunter fitness, how the hunters would be brought back in. It was your traditional method. If the horse has been rested for more than 3 months or has been rested due to a sprain, then walking stage will be extended to 6 weeks and built up to 2 hours per day. So that's as we discussed already, that if you've had a horse with an injury, it must take longer. It's important to check after you have ridden the horse to check there's no sign of galling under the saddle or the girth. The saddle, numnut and girth must be kept clean and dry. And application of salt water or surgical spirits will help to harden the horse's skin. So sometimes when you bring them back into work, the skin has got soft and they'll then have a period of time where they get rubs. Now the second stage, according to the Pony Club, which is the muscling up stage, combines walking with slow trotting for the same periods of time. The exercise extending for up to 2 hours. Active walking, particularly uphill, is a tremendous muscle builder and does not cause undue strain and jarring to the legs. Some steady trotting on a hard road helps to harden the legs, but if overdone, particularly with older horses, causes jarring to the feet and legs, and it's also very costly in shoes. This is an area of debate. Not everybody believes in trotting on the roads because of the jarring effect, particularly if you have a horse that's of the heavier type build. So if in doubt, stick to walking on the roads. If you have a lighter type horse, or you're of the school of thought that some trotting on the roads is beneficial, then go ahead. But bear in mind, not everybody believes that's a good idea, and you can certainly get a horse fit without it. At this stage, you can also start some schooling on the flat, and some slow cantering can be included towards the end of the stage, and some simple jumping. Okay. Now moving on to the third stage, which is the further muscling up and clearing of wind, which is after 6 weeks or so. Your horse should be ready to do some cantering in a more open area. This will continue the muscling up process and will help to clear his wind. A good hill to work on at a slower pace is helpful. Choose good going and do not gallop too fast, too far, too soon. Start with about 1/4 mile of cantering interspersed with trotting. Increase the distance gradually. Towards the end of the period, the horse should be covering about 1 mile in a strong canter, but not a gallop, once or twice a week. On other days of the week, he should be schooled, jumped, or hacked out for exercise. So the whole process of adjusting the feed and increasing the exercise and work to bring the horse into really hard condition must be gradual. In the case of the hunter or eventer coming up from a complete rest at grass, this can hardly be accomplished in fewer than 12 weeks. Okay, so really important to bear that in mind, that it is a long process. Whereas the 6-week program we had a look at would be for a horse that perhaps it's had a 2-week break, 2 or 3 weeks off. Anything longer than that, you'd want to be looking at an 8 to 12-week program. Finally, just to break it down further, this is a daily schedule for work for one horse. So as you can see, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right the way through to Sunday. So this horse is in work 7 days a week. You don't need to work your horse 7 days a week to get them fit. 6 days will be absolutely fine. However, it looks as though this might be a stabled horse, and if you have a horse that's stabled, they will need to do something every day. As you can see, Sunday is a 20-minute hack-up walk, so something really light just to make sure they're using their legs. It could be if your horse is turned out, or you have access to turn out, you turn them out on the Sunday. So you can see here that the program consists of schooling, so something that builds on the skills. So the exercise type down the right hand side tells you what they're working on. Tuesday, a long hack, including trot and canter, or time on the gallop. So they're then working on their cardiovascular fitness, so getting the horse fit, working the heart and lungs. Wednesday, working on jumping, hill work or high strength dressage, such as collection. So this is building the strength. Again, grid work is very good for this. Thursday, again, a long hack or schooling session, mostly trot or canter, so building, again, the fitness. Then you've got schooling again Friday, but this time lateral exercise or pole work, so building on skills. That can also help build the strength as well. Pole work is very good for building gymnastic strength. Saturday is a competition. That might not be every week, but it might be that it's just for this particular week the horse is competing, or it might be a horse that does compete on a weekly basis. And they put that down as strength work. So that is how you could put together a program for a particular horse, building on skills, their skills, their strength, and their cardiovascular fitness. Here we can see an example of Raven's plan. So I put them into monthly plans. This is the one for February 2020. And as you can see, she has 1 or 2 days off a week, usually a Monday, and then it could either be, well, in this one looks like she was just having Mondays off. There was one Saturday she had off and a Sunday. So usually Mondays be her day off, because that is also my day. Oh no, sorry, no, there is 2 days off each week from looking at this. Now she was then in 6 days a week work, but now she is off with a lameness issue. So as I said before, I've got to take into account setbacks. But this is when she's having 2 days a week off. So it looked like it was variable. So Mondays would be a day off for her, because that was also my day off. And then it would change. So sometimes she looks like she'd have a Saturday, sometimes she would have, if she had a Friday, Tuesday, a Sunday, so it would change. But she was in work 5 days a week, and as you can see, it was varied. So she'd be schooled, lunged, hacked. She'd do some riding clubs, so BRC poles, that's a riding club session. 10:30 poles, that was a Widbrook session. So she had a variety of different workloads to keep her fit.
Okay, so that's everything for week 2. In week 3, we're going to have a look at specialised fitness programmes. So if you're aiming your horse for a particular sport, particularly those that are going up through the higher levels, we'll have a look at how we can design a more specialist fitness programme for them, following on from the 8 to 12 weeks that they would have undertaken to start them off. See you then.